Hey ballers, get ready for an episode that's packed with real talk and insights. Today I'm joined by Matt Paxson, a seasoned real estate pro who's seen it all. Matt dives into his jaw-dropping $1 million mistake, the hard lesson he learned, and his comeback. We'll explore the secrets of lead generation, the essence of leadership, and the transformative power of personal growth. Matt lays out his blueprint for success, emphasizing the vital roles of coaching and accountability. I know I say this all the time, but this is an episode that you don't want to miss. Before we dive in, I'm V and you are watching the Real Estate Baller Show. If you are new here or if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. We're growing organically and with your help by sharing this episode with a friend and subscribing, we can reach more people looking to achieve financial freedom through real estate investing. Thanks for being a part of our journey. I'm sorry for this interruption. I've been asked a lot about passive investment, and I understand that there is nothing passive about being a landlord unless you can find a great property management company. So if you own an Airbnb, a vacation rental, or a short-term rental, and you are looking to free up your time, contact our team at Buzz Vacation Rentals at 281-549-8432 or check out our website at www.buzzvacationrentals.com. Thank you, and back to the Real Estate Baller Show. This episode is brought to you by Jet Lending. For over 20 years, Jet Lending has been helping real estate investors succeed. They offer 100% financing so you can be in at $0 at closing. I can always count on Jet Lending to fund my deals. If you're looking to fund your next deal, contact our friend over at jetlending.com. This episode is brought to you by National Real Estate Insurance Group, a national independent insurance agency specifically for real estate investors. I personally use NREIG for my investment properties. They offer a low monthly payment option to help you to lower your cash out of pocket when buying an investment property. If you're looking for insurance coverage for your flips or your rental, reach out to them. You can click on the link in the show descriptions, or you can reach out to Jules at 816-946-8443. All right, we got Matt in the house here. Hey Matt, where you from?
What's going on, everybody? Matt Paxson here from Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Not Texas, right?
Not Texas, yeah, the sister city in Virginia.
All right. You look cold, buddy.
Yeah, it's a little chilly out today, so I'm out on the road looking at homes. I anticipated being back in my home office earlier, but of course I didn't make it back. Just contractor delays. I was waiting on them. So I'm posted up in my car, excited to be on this podcast and to connect with your audience.
Hey, thanks for, making adjustment here. That's the real estate life, right?
That's right. It's just every day's different, right? You don't know what 2 days, no 2 days will be the same.
Yeah. All right. So before this interview, I was stalking you and, trying to learn everything I could about you. I thought I saw something real interesting because when I started this business, it was all about making money, building wealth. And then now as I mature in the business, it was more than just making money, right? So I read somewhere about your holistic approach to life. And let's start there. Tell us about that. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's probably a great intro question, actually. I'll just share with your audience. It's kind of personal, but it's been a couple years in the making. But I've gone through a divorce personally, which is not what I wanted. Just for a variety of circumstances, it happened. And it basically kind of wiped me out financially after going through that.
They tend to do that.
They do, yeah. But, as I reflect on things, and again, there were things that happened, and I'm not trying to throw my ex under the bus, but there are things that happened that led us to that point that were not my choosing or my doing. But either way, I wanted to reflect on it. And what I realized was, I started my real estate flipping company, did really well, started a title company, started a real estate brokerage, or rather bought a real estate brokerage. probably 8 or 9 years ago, and kind of grew that into the number one independent brokerage in the area. So I was experiencing success in all these other areas of my life, but on a personal level, there's probably things that I wasn't doing. I wasn't paying attention to my ex as much as I probably should have. I was negating my health more so than I should have. I kind of grew up as a person of faith, and I kind of stepped away from that a little bit. Not anything crazy, but I just wasn't going to church or, doing my personal devotional stuff like I should have. So what I want to do is, in this phase of my life, is I want to help coach and teach people potentially. But for me personally, I just want to be holistic. I want to be well-rounded. I don't want to show up somewhere and have 3 tires full of air and the 4th one flat, right? Like I want to be holistic in all areas of my life. And so that's what I meant by looking at things in a holistic approach, because the money-making stuff can be the easy thing. Oddly enough, most people who start out think, no, that's the hard one, but that might be the easiest, right? But having strong relationships and learning and growing every day academically, having the rest of your life kind of taking care of your body and so forth, those can be the harder things to have discipline around. So the first time around when I was able to be successful, there's probably areas of my life that I wish I'd been better at. So this next time around, I'm going to be better.
Well, yeah, let's hope that we improve the next time around, right? Now that we have a second chance.
That's right. Yeah.
How long have you been in real estate?
V, I've only been doing real estate for probably 12 years. So we started, It was all kind of by happenstance how we started. But yeah, it's only been 12 years since we jumped into real estate.
Okay. So you 2 years senior, my senior.
Okay. So you're about 10 years, give or take. Is
about
all your
10.
About 10. Is all your experience, V, in the Houston market?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen it like we have in the Virginia market? When I first started, there were so many deals and not enough money, right? But then over time, the deals kind of dry up, but then now everybody is like a lender and tons of money everywhere, right? So it's kind of like ebbed and flowed a little bit differently. Have you seen the same thing in the Houston market?
Yes, it's quite similar. The deals have dried up a little bit. It's more competitive to get the right deals, obviously. Okay. I mean, there's still deals if you want to buy anything, but if you want to buy it right, it's a little bit more challenging. I call this time period like it's for the people who are willing to flex the muscle and willing to do the grind. When I started in 2014, it was a bit easy, in my opinion. Like, it was hard, but it was still easy. I had it a little bit easy. Today, I say you do have to really use all the tools that you got in your toolkit to make it work. What do you think? Do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when we started, the deals were everywhere. We were having every person in the world call us. We were looking at deals online through the MLS. We were going to auctions. There were deals everywhere. The problem was money. So we were out there talking to every dentist and doctor and lawyer in town. And, people didn't know us at first and they had to trust us and they're charging us higher rates. And it was just a different game up front, like, because we couldn't find the money, but we had tons of deals. And then as time went on, like, it literally began to kind of crisscross. And now there's like, because of, we've done, 1,000+ deals, the deals or the money's everywhere. Everybody's got money they want to lend us, but it's like, well, where are the deals at? So, so who knows, but we're in this weird little plateau. So maybe it all changes once, the market either goes up or goes down, right? Because I think the harder way to make money in the investing world is when the market's flat. But as soon as it goes up, you can make money. As soon as it goes down, you can make money.
So you started 2012.
Yes.
Give or take. Okay.
Yes.
Looking back, what would you say was the turning point in your real estate journey? Beside your personal, moment, but business-wise.
The inflection point as far as how we scaled our business and grew it?
Yes. Like, what was it like when you started, and when was the turning point for you? Like, you feel like, oh, I got this.
Yeah, I think initially we just didn't know what we didn't know. In fact, I showed up, I went and got my real estate license, and I had this person call me that wanted me to come do a listing presentation. So here I am, a brand new agent. I show up and I'm doing this listing presentation for this lady, and the whole time she's like, no, I want you to buy it. And I had no money. At this point, I had $0. Like literally I had no money, and she was like, no, I want you to buy it. And she's giving me this whole, like, I'm trying to give her the whole listing presentation. I'm like, look, we could sell it. We could do this. She's like, you're not hearing me. I want you to buy it. So she's like, make me an offer. And so I literally, this is no lie, V, I literally was like, $25,000. That's what I could pay for it. Cash, close next week. Well, of course, I'm all puckered up and I'm thinking, I hope she doesn't accept this because I don't have $25,000.
Yeah.
Well, this is no lie. I'm standing out in front of her house. She like looks up into the sky, like she's thinking. She's taking a deep breath. She's thinking, and my mind's racing. I'm watching her. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gonna say yes. It takes about 30 seconds, and then she comes back and she puts out her hand and she's like, deal. So I shook her hand. I was gonna buy it. Like I had the money, and then I ran back to my truck, and at the time I had a business partner, and I call him and I'm like, we got to find $25,000. And we were able to find it. And then we were able to flip the house within a couple months. And at the end of it, we made like $46,000. Right. And so at the time I thought if I could do one of those per month for the rest of my life, I'll be set. Yeah. Right. But then we started buying like 2 a month and then 3 a month. Before we know it, we were buying 25 homes a month. Right. I mean, we were cranking, But I think as we grew up as a company, for me, the inflection point was when I realized that I shouldn't be doing everything, it's okay to export things that you're not an expert at to other people who are an expert, mainly lead generation. So then you can scale the mechanisms that really work, because some of the ways we were buying homes were auctions, right? And that's just a race to the bottom because it's you and 50 other people that show up to the courthouse steps and everybody's trying to bid on it. And somebody wins, but do they really win because they way overpaid for it? The real things are like, how do you generate leads? How do you make the phone ring? And then, and how do you get yourself out of the way? Like up front, I was doing like AdWords. Look, I think I'm a somewhat smart guy, but I should not be doing AdWords. I should not be running that. And at the same time, I was holding bandit signs up on the side of the road on Saturdays. I was making all the phone calls to the list that we're buying from the list sources. I was doing everything. And eventually it was like, okay, I could hire someone to do that. I could hire someone to do that. And I think as we started to do that, we got form and structure and became a legit business.
So you were doing all the grinds, I call it.
Yeah, I didn't know any better. I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. And I knew that I could buy better deals if I was on the phone calling someone before they went to the courthouse steps, or if I was talking to the hairy homeowner that, was ready to sell, but wasn't sure how much he was going to list it for. And I could work out a creative deal. So yeah, I was doing everything and it was burning me out. We were making money, but like, man, you talk about just, limping by. It was like all day, every day. It was a grind for sure. Is that kind of your journey as well when you first started?
Yeah, I think that's similar to most investors, right? We started off thinking that, we just jack of all trades and just do it all. And I mean, you really don't know what you don't know. And you just trying to take it one day at a time and, do it. And then if I could look back and say, what would be the one thing that I would do differently? That would be to hire sooner, to bring on people sooner. That would be my regret that I didn't do sooner.
Yeah. Now, when you say that, V, are you talking about W-2 full-time employees that you manage, or are you talking about like a AdWords company that can manage your online presence?
More like a team, like a coordinator, an acquisition person, more like team member within the organization.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. When I joined, I bought into a franchise system. So that side of the business, I didn't have to worry about. I didn't have to worry about how to make the phone ring, right? Yep. I only had to worry about how to run the business efficiently. Mm-hmm. I know it's tough for people, independent people out there to try to do it all, like try to get the phone rings and then try to do the sales process to, get the seller to sell to you at a good price.
Yeah, it's a lot. And you got to learn as you go. So I think even like one of the things I learned from a couple different people, but even on like sales is an actual technique, it's kind of like verbal judo to get a seller off of the sideline into the game, because there's 100 objections they're going to give you, right? Like, oh, I got to talk to my spouse, or, hey, we're not ready until the spring, or they'll give you a bunch of objections, and you have to learn how to kind of dance through those, get to the core issue, and then, put the deal together. And so up front, we were just winging it, because I consider myself a people person and I enjoy people, but that's not often enough. Like you have to understand people and motivation. So not only would I, like you, V, I probably would have hired sooner and exported certain things sooner, but I also would have resourced myself sooner. And that could have been like just hiring a coach. somebody who's done a few more deals than me that was willing to coach me, as opposed to just kind of winging it and just using sheer force to try to get deals done and so forth. I mean, it worked, but it's like, man, there's just a more efficient way where you could grease the skids and it doesn't require so much effort to do it. So it just took me a minute to get to that, where I learned how to do that.
So you did it all with you and, did you say a partner?
Yep, I had one business partner. Yep, we did it all. So we ran the ops, we ran the employees, we did the whole thing.
So how did y'all learn from your? All right, let me rephrase this question. I'm assuming you have made some mistakes.
Yes.
Were there any detrimental mistake, big mistake, and you wish you would have learned it, or you think you would have learned it had you had a coach?
Yes. If we had a coach, yeah, we would have been way better. And in fact, that's kind of the phase that I'm coming into in my life. As I come into my mid 40s and I've got, a little bit of experience in real estate, I just want to coach people because I'm a natural coach. I enjoy doing that. So if you know someone looking, if anyone out here is listening and they're interested in being coached, shoot me a note. I'd love to talk to you about what that looks like. But no, we made huge mistakes. Like one time, because I thought after we were doing like 15, 20, 25 a month, I thought we could do this forever and do it anywhere. And so we're in Fredericksburg, and Virginia Beach is about 3.5 hours away, about 3 hours away. We started flipping down there, and I'll just save you all the details, but we did it for about a year. And in that year's time, we lost about $1 million, like a straight up $1 million. And that's because we had cost creep on every deal. Like a contractor would bid us and they'd say, that's $45,000 to renovate that. I'd look at the books and I'm like, how are we in this thing for $80,000-$90,000 already? So we had cost creep on deals. We had crazy things happen. Like literally one day before closing, a house burnt down on us. I mean, I could go through the whole litany of things, but the truth is we didn't know what we were doing. We were going into a market with a model that really shouldn't have been exported because it was all personality driven, and on I could go. But yeah, we learned a couple really costly mistakes, and that was one of them. So
well, that was $1 million mistake, you said.
Yeah, it might be more than that. And when we really go back and look at it, I mean, in 1 year's time, we lost a ton of money, but I learned in the process. But man, here's the thing. The market at the time kept doing this. It kind of plateaued for a minute, then it went up. The truth is, if the market had at any time corrected and gone back down, I would not be sitting here today. In that moment, that was in 2016, 17. And that
that's when things were really hot.
Yeah, I mean, but if they had cooled off,
yeah,
if they had gone back down, I would have gotten absolutely wiped out, because on all my deals, I had personal guarantees. I was way overextended in every property. I had employees that I shouldn't have had on the books. I mean, my overhead every month was like $125,000. So I had to make $125,000. And then if I made $1 beyond that, then that's when a little bit goes into my pocket. But that was crazy. Like, what was I doing? But I didn't know what I didn't know. So anyways, I think somebody who has a coach could have short-circuited that learning curve and not paid the kind of painful lesson that I had to learn there along the way.
Hey, Matt, thanks for sharing that today. It made me feel so much better about my $30,000 mistake that I made, but now I'm gonna have to pay the price here. So
oh no,
thanks for sharing your $1 million mistake.
Yeah, well, V, is that recently that you made a mistake?
Well, not quite recently, but I come to now realize that I mean, it's combinations of things, right? I don't make mistake a lot. I've been very proud of myself that I'm risky, but also conservative. I do take, good risk in my business and approach the business with my head on right most of the time. So this particular property, I just got a little too greedy, and then neglect the business a little bit. And so now I'm paying the price.
Yeah, I'm sure you've shared it with your audience before. Maybe I missed that episode, but can you give me some of the context on it? Did you get greedy on the front end and paid too much? Was it on what you thought it was worth on the back end?
Oh no, I could have sold it early on, but I thought I could get more, so I kept holding. Just that was the greedy part, and now the market changed.
It was on the disposition side, so you had an offer in hand, and you didn't sell when you had the offer.
Yeah.
So how does the story
lesson
end?
learned.
How much more did you sell it less than that offer?
Oh, I'm gonna have to sell it for way less than what I initially thought I could. So So yeah, there's no other way out of it. It's any way I slice the cake, I'm still gonna take a loss. So
yeah, it doesn't get better with time, although you think it might. But I'm sorry you got that going on, because in your mind you're thinking, hey, look, there's a new administration coming into office in January. Maybe it gives consumer confidence, a different sense. Maybe the interest rates get hiked. I mean, who knows? We're all speculating, but you can rationalize in your mind. But the truth is, every day costs you $1. So the real thing is, you take a bird in the hand while you got it, right? Like, sell the thing and just move on and keep going, right? So,
opportunity lost.
Yeah, that's a painful lesson. Oh man, V. Yeah.
Yeah. So a deep scar for me. One strike.
Hey, but I always tell people, if you don't fail periodically, then the truth is you're probably not pushing hard enough. Because in this business, there's times when you got to take a little bit of a risk. Maybe it's on the purchase. You're like, hey, I see more value in this than other people, and I'm going to buy it. Or maybe it's on the ARV, or maybe it's on the renovation cost. But like, it's okay out of like 1 out of every 10, like, to fail, but you make good money on 9 out of the others. Like, that's okay. As long as you're making more than you're losing, you can live to fight another day, right?
That's right. I think, like, I don't know if you do this, right? In all this, I'm talking about that with good spirit here, but it really come back to, like, at some point I may have gotten comfortable in the business, right? Just got comfortable. And because of this, now I feel like my senses are awakened and I'm paying more attention to the business. And I'm sure you probably experienced something similar, when you went through that growth transitions and you guys end up losing.
Yeah. But I always tell people, like, this isn't a business for the faint of heart. Like, you've got to have a thick skin to be in it, because sometimes you fail, but as far as making money on a property, but just think of the overall business itself. Like, if you're doing lead generation, like, people are going to be nasty with you on the phone. They're going to call you all sorts of names. But like, if I told you, if I'm like, V, like, you got to go through 9 no's, but then on the 10th one, you're going to get the yes. And that yes is going to be very profitable. Well, sure. Then you reframe it in your mind and you're like, yeah, every no is one step closer. But most people, they think of it the other way. They take it personal. And they're like, that person told me to go die and kill myself. Or, that person said, never call me again. And they take it personal, and it causes them to retreat. And so I just think in general in this business, whether it's on the lead generation side, talking to people, or whether it's buying a home and you're taking big risks, you have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Like, there's times when it's not going to work, but if you do what's right and you stay the course, you're going to win more than you lose, for sure.
Totally agree. So just stay the course. I'm not giving up.
There you go.
So what does your operation look like today, Matt?
Well, recently, about a year or so, my former business partner at the time decided to retire. And so we kind of dissolved that main company. And so I'm just launching my own. So I've got a handful of employees. I'm kind of back in the grind. It's kind of exciting. It's almost like where we were 10 years ago, to be honest. I didn't carry over all the employees with me. I carried over just a handful, really just 2, one full-time and then one as a fractional CFO. And I'm just rebuilding. So it's definitely exciting. I think it's put me back in the fray where I get a chance to look at the operations fresh. So for me, we've got a system set up where I know I can buy, 2 to 3 properties a month. Like, that's what I'm hoping. Doesn't always work out, but that's my hope. And then I've got a title company. I've got the kind of real estate team and the brokerage, and then I'm launching a coaching network, and I got a few other things too, a rental portfolio and some other stuff. But, it's all real estate related, but just kind of real estate all day, every day.
That's right. Yeah. So what are you seeing as the challenges today, starting over versus started years ago?
Well, it's kind of what I said in the beginning. Like, it's all about lead generation. So if, the golden rule, right, which is he who has the gold makes the rules, right? And so the gold in real estate investing is lead generation. So like, that controls everything. So in the beginning, when I started 12 years ago, we found more deals than what we knew to know at the time. We didn't know what to do with them all. We were just kind of piecing it together. Now I know what to do with the leads, but it's hard to find the leads. So the biggest thing now is just lead generation. So we're trying different methods. We're doing PPC, we're doing SEO, doing direct mail, still going to the courthouse steps. We're just trying to generate the leads, and then you can control it. Then you can wholesale it, make a nickel, not a dime. Then you can list it because I'm a licensed real estate broker. I can list it or give it to an agent that will list it for me. I can take it and flip it. There's some creative dispositions that we can do, like sub-twos and that kind of stuff. So the biggest thing though is you got to make the phone ring. And once you make the phone ring, it's like riding a bike. You get momentum, then you can steer it wherever you want. But if you don't get that momentum, then it's really hard to get going and it's hard to stay balanced. So it's all about lead generation in my book. So that's where I spend the majority of my time, is focusing on lead generation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And what has been working best right now in terms of lead generations? Because I talk to a lot of investors. Some still do mailers, some do SEO, PPC, some do cold calling. I think the textings went away, right? So what's working for you now?
The biggest thing, honestly, is mailers, which is odd to say because I never thought that would be the case. But the truth is, even Google does mailers. You ever get like a Google card in the mail that tells you about your Google profile or gives you a discount on some other service they're offering? Like even Google, the largest search engine in the world, is still sending direct mail. It works. And so we've had success, and I know there's other companies. We've had success with 80/20. Mm-hmm. So we've hired them. They create the list. They skip trace the list. And then we have an outsourced company out of Egypt that handles the calls when they come in. And then they schedule the appointments. And I show up on the appointments and I try to put the deals together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what does your day-to-day look like now? I know you're out looking at properties. Tell us what your day like today.
Yeah, I just had a couple appointments this morning to walk through homes with home sellers. I meet with my team. If you ever gone through some of the EOS stuff, so if there's one of your listeners that's looking for form and structure with their company, they have to look at EOS. It's an entrepreneur operating system. It's the best thing out there that we found. It's not the only thing, but it works for us. But it gives form and structure. And so in there, they have a thing called an L10, which is a meeting with your key leaders. So I always have, when people are scheduling appointments, I always have them block off like 10 to 1, because 10 to 1 is kind of my meeting time during the day. In the mornings, I can look at homes. In the afternoons, I can look at homes or evaluate stuff. But 10 to 1 is like my employee time. So whether it's with the title company, the brokerage, or the flipping entity, or just the other stuff I have going on, but I schedule my L10 meetings during that window. So yeah, it just got done just not too long ago. It's shortly after that as we're recording this, but just working through with my leadership team, just trying to bring on the right people, but create clear goals, create accountability around those goals, and then go execute on those goals.
Do you have your level 10 meeting monthly, weekly, quarterly?
Yeah, we do it weekly.
Yeah.
So then they have like quarterly meetings that they have set up, and there's rhythms for the whole thing. But the L10, the way that we understand it, but the way that's worked best for us is weekly, and we just walk through it all. But then what it creates is this accountability. I don't know. I'm sure it sounds like you have some familiarity with it, but it creates accountability, because I don't want to show up to a meeting where I'm with you, V, and you're like, well, Matt, did you get, X, Y, and Z done? And I don't want to be like, oh, I didn't get it done, because I don't want to let you down, right? I don't want to show up to a meeting where you're disappointed in me. So weekly, we have found to be the best rhythm. You just get stuff done. You have to-dos. You have reminders about your rocks, which are your quarterly things. And we hold each other accountable. It'd be like you saying, Matt, well, in this quarter, you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z. Where are you at? What are your milestones? How can we help you? And like, we can work on it together, or you can just hold me accountable. And I'm like, yeah, by next week, I'll have this done. By the week after, I'll have this done. And then we actually advance the ball as a company, and see progress.
So have you guys started talking about goal for 2025?
No, that's always first week of December. So everyone has to show up with their big, we call them like the BHAGs, the big, hairy, audacious goals that they want to bring into 2025. So we'll talk them out. We'll try to parse them down into smaller, more manageable kind of milestones that can be accomplished. We'll make sure it's in alignment with the company goals. But yeah, that's coming up here soon. So I can't believe that, too. 2025 is like right around the corner. Are you ready for this? I mean, here we go.
Hey, ready or not, it's coming. We do have a lot of great things. I look forward to 2025. I think it's going to be an awesome year. We have a lot of big plan in place.
Yeah.
BHAG.
Your big BHAGs. Are your goals more around the podcast and your influence that you're generating via this? Or is it more as a practitioner on the flipping side? Like, when you think about 2025, where are you putting the majority of your focus?
Both. So
Okay.
the podcast, it took us like 4 years to get 500 plus subscribers. And so we hope to grow it to 1,000 in the next few months here, because I enjoy doing this podcast. I do it because I love it. I love to talk to people like you. I love to learn from people. I may take a tip or two away from our conversation today and apply it into what we do, and it's going to pay off big. And so for that, I love the podcast. But, I still love the other side of building the business, the creating thing. I think the most rewarding part for me in my operation is to watch my team grow, like to see how they're able to, for their family, how they can go on trip, like, see them buying a house, a car, like, that kind of thing. That to me is fulfilling. So I love that part of the business and being able to build that operations where people just grow.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question about that? Are you talking about like grow as a person where they kind of mature up on the inside? Or are you talking about like financially where you're giving like a profit share program and saying, hey, as you do better, as a company does better, you do better? Like, in what way do you mean grow? Because that's honestly something I'm very curious about right now in my business. Both. Okay.
First is them growing personally. Anyone that joined a company, we want to teach them, to empower them to grow, to be better, to be more confident about what it is that they do with the company.
Well, and how do you do that personally? Is it like giving them books, sending them to conferences, sending out daily, texts about, leadership growth, or like, how do you encourage that on a personal level?
Accountability.
Okay.
Books, recommendation. I actually had a coach that do coaching to my team. So, okay. And even just holding during our weekly, we call it the weekly tactical, so I have different companies. So each company will have a weekly meeting. So the property management company, we have a weekly tactical. In our, house buying operation, we call it the Moneymaker Monday. So we have name for our meetings. And, during these meetings, we talk about their challenges. And through these challenges, it's helped us to learn about them. We take the personality test together and we talk about our personality test, like the result, and see how we work together. So these.
And which one do you guys use? Sorry to interrupt there, but which personality test do you guys use?
So for hiring, I used the DISC test.
DISC,
and then, recently we did the Myers-Briggs or Briggs-Myers. I can't ever say it right.
The Myers-Briggs, yeah.
Myers-Briggs.
Yeah.
And so it's a fun exercise for the team because everyone always loves to learn about themselves, right?
Yes.
And so we do a lot of that. I have a team in the Philippines. So in January, I took them on a retreat, with their whole family, spouses, kids, and they really appreciated that. And so that was a good feeling. Like, that's why I do the business,
Yeah, that's great. So on a personal level, you're seeing growth, and it probably helps with retention, and it creates a great culture in the office, and people want to be there. On a professional level, are you doing some profit share? I mean, maybe they're listening here, and I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot, but so I'm curious. Yeah.
Yes. So profit sharing, when they meet a certain goal, certain threshold, I wouldn't say requirement, level, then it become, a profit sharing.
Profit share.
So not technically, I'm not making them an owner or a share in the company, right? But for as long as they with the company, if we profitable, they get X. So that's profit sharing. Depends on the level where they are with the company. Obviously, the higher level people get a bigger share.
Sharing the pie.
The entrance, it's the fancy way of bonus.
Yes. Yeah, but you base it like we started doing a profit share, and again, some of it's an experiment. We're just trying to see if it works. But like if you set a baseline, let's say the company has to make $1, right? And anything above that dollar then is split at a certain percentage. Maybe it's 80-20. So they get 20% of everything above that dollar. And like what we found in the short amount of time that we've done it, again, who knows if we keep doing it, but it's worked so far. But we found that like employees start to have an owner's mindset. So like they'll go to properties and look at them, and then before they might just leave the lights on and just don't care. But now they're like, no way. If I shut those lights off and the utility bill is 10 more bucks cheaper per month, that's more that could go into the profit share. So like they just start thinking like an owner. They do the same thing with phone calls and follow-ups and trying to get leads monetized. It's not always listing, or I'm sorry, me buying it and flipping it, because out of like 10 leads that come in, 2 of those might turn into investing buys, but the other 8, they either want too much or owe too much. So you really got to work them, and maybe it's you got to list them or you got to do something else. So, but we found that then employees are like, yeah, I'm motivated to like, I'll stick with them for a bit, even when it's hard and the money's going to be less than if it was a flip. But I know at the end of the day, I'm going to make a little bit more from it. So I think it has shifted the mindset a little bit. I'm with you. I wouldn't give ownership, but I would give some kind of profit share above a baseline. We found that to be something that works, but I'm always curious to hear what else is working, because, I love that internal motivation that you can provide people and kind of make them think like an owner.
Yeah, I actually, earlier when you talk about EOS, that's from the book Tractions, right? And this profit sharing concept come from the book, The Great Game of Business. You've heard of it?
I don't think I've heard of that one, no.
Okay. I'll send you Great Game of Business. I'll send you by Jack Stack. So I'll send you I'll text you the book. But anyway, that book really explained how an open book type of business and create ownership in your team, your people. I love that book. So I actually listened to it a couple of times.
Is that right? Yeah. Thank you for sending that. I'd be happy to look at that. And because I love that concept of seeing people grow as persons, but also as, just financially, just in life, when they can afford something now that they couldn't have before or whatever. So if I can incentivize them to grow while the company also grows, I'm all in.
Yeah, yeah. Sound like we both have our heart in the right place. So yes, that leads me to the next question. Having been in the business for this long, what do you think are the key factors behind your success in real estate?
It's a great question, because I think the answer is multifaceted. It goes back to what I said in the beginning about lead generation. Honestly, lead generation is it. If I had to pigeonhole one thing, it's all about lead generation. It doesn't matter if you're a wholesaler or if you're a real estate agent or anything in between, like maybe what you and I are as home renovators. It's all about lead generation. You just got to control the leads. You got to get them in the door, and then you can do whatever you want with them. You can list them, you can wholesale them, you can flip them, you can do whatever. So the biggest challenges, hands down, in my opinion, are how to generate leads, especially in this market, because it's not like it used to be. Like at one point, we were buying 2 to 3 properties a month on the MLS, but I can't remember the last time I bought a property off the MLS because everything's ridiculously high. Even REO properties, they're, if the house is worth 300, the bank's asking for 300, and you can't buy it at market value and make any money. And so you come in with a lowball offer and they're like, nope. Well, sure enough, somebody's going to pay somewhat close to that. So we don't buy through the MLS, but there's 100 other ways to buy it. And you just have to be diligent. You got to create systems, and you got to get the right people in the right place.
I have yet bought any house from the MLS, and I've tried. I haven't cracked that code yet.
Yeah, it's. I don't foresee it coming unless there's a correction that comes in the next couple of years. I don't know how anybody will buy from the MLS because there's no inventory. So what's on the market is being driven up in price, and it doesn't work for an investor, because if a house is worth $1, you can't buy it for $1 because there's no margin. You got to buy it at, the formula is 70% minus repairs. You got to buy that house that's worth $1 at 70%, which is 70 cents, minus repairs. It might need 20, 30, 40, 50,000. Like you got to buy it at a certain number, and it doesn't work through the MLS. So yeah, I think the last time that we bought through the MLS might have been in 2018, maybe 2019. But it's been 4+ years since we bought through the MLS.
Yeah, I suppose I haven't had challenges in that area where I feel like the deals are really dry up and I have to get creative with where I buy. Now, this year though, I am feeling it a little bit, because the leads are getting more expensive. So we have to get creative in how we can generate lead at lower cost, you know?
Yeah. And that's where the money's made it's when you buy it. So if you got to pay for those leads, you want that price per lead to be lower. And we've subscribed to every big, and I won't even name drop them here, but all the big lead sources, and they've only gone up. Like one of the biggest ones we used to pay because at one point I bought into the franchise We Buy Houses. I'm not sure which one you bought into, but that was probably 7 years ago, and we only had it for a couple years. But one of their kind of main providers of leads, we were paying like $250 a lead, and then it became $350, $450. Today, no lie, in my market just south of DC, if you wanted to buy leads, you're looking at 700, 800, 900, I mean, maybe 1,000 in some counties per lead. And it's like, man, like how many of those a month can you really take down? Because it's going to chew up your budget pretty quick. So they do have a good return policy if you buy something that's already listed or it's an investor trying to flip a deal. But most of them you can't get refunds on. So you might set your budget at $10,000 a month in lead generation and get chewed up in the first 4 days of the month, and they're not good. So I think it's incumbent upon us to you got to have your own Google My Business, your own PPC, your own, SEO. You got to have other means of doing it. And for us, we do all those things I just mentioned, but the direct mail is the thing that's worked the best over the last maybe 3 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack a little bit. What are your thoughts on mastermind?
I think masterminds are incredibly important. And I think any person wanting to solve big problems should consider joining a mastermind, because you want to be around other people who are thinking about the same things that you're thinking about, because the average person has no clue what you're dealing with. Like when you buy a property for $300,000 and you take hard money out for that, and then you have to renovate it, and it's a $60,000 renovation, and your contractors are showing up drunk or not showing up at all or doing crazy work.
Or smoking weed.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're trying to sell it, and you got people breaking into the house, and there's so much craziness that can happen in our business. The average person can't relate to the stress and the problems that we're trying to solve. So I do think masterminds are incredibly important. What about you? Are there masterminds that you've been a part of?
So being a part of Home Investors, I am a part of that big network, right? I have access to a lot of successful people. I am also a developmental agent in Home Investors, so I have a group of people that I coach as well in the business.
Okay.
So yes, I do have access, but I think for people who do not have access, I do highly recommend that they join, some type of group, because like you said, I do see the big benefit of being a part of it, because we all going to have good days and we all going to have bad days, right? And it's not fun if you got to hold them all to yourself.
That's right. Yes.
And you go home and you share with your family and they don't quite get it. And by the time you have to explain everything, why you're so excited, it killed the excitement already,
100%. Yes. So, I think that's great that you joined a franchise, that you have learned and kind of networked through all that. And I would recommend that to anybody. Now, when you say this to a new person, which I know you probably have a lot of listeners who are thinking about or just getting into the business, it can be daunting, because some of these masterminds cost like $10,000 a year to join. And that costs
30. Yeah. 10 to 30.
Yeah. So you look at that and you're like, there's no way I'll never pay that. But you got to think of it like a business owner, because, it might take one more deal than what you would have gotten otherwise. And you're going to make up for that cost, right? But the odds are you're not only going to buy one more deal, you're going to buy a bunch more deals. And then beyond that, you're going to solve problems more efficiently. You're going to learn how to do direct mail or whatever better. So it's a no-brainer to me. Like you have to invest in that, to invest in yourself, to be able to scale a business to a level that you would want to. So for me, a $10,000 or $30,000 investment, it pays itself back and then some. Wouldn't you agree?
I would absolutely agree. I really agree. I think it's really crucial in the business to, one, get, be a part of a mastermind, and then possibly also have a coach, right? Because they serve different functions in your business and in your growth. A mastermind, you go and you learn from your peers, and you have your peers to help you, to support you through your journey. But with a coach is someone hold you accountable, right?
Yes.
Someone who help you with a roadmap. Like, hey, you tell me this is where you want to go, so let's do the activity that's going to get you there, right? And you leverage that coach experience, knowledge, connections to help you to grow, and you can grow faster. So I think they both are necessary in the business for what we do if you want to be around for a long time.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, because a lot of people get washed out. I mean, how many people do we know that we're in the business for months or a year or two and they get washed out? Like you want to stay in it for the long haul, and it just requires certain things because you don't know what you don't know. I don't know what your background was, but my background was not in real estate. So I mean, most of it I was just winging it. I was just faking it till I make it, right? So yeah, masterminds, coaches, all that's super important.
Yeah, no, I didn't come from the real estate background either. I came from the nail salon business. So I had no clue, no idea what it was like. And I didn't know like slab foundation from pier beams and stills and, I don't know any of it. So luckily I had good mentor and good support, good people system, that I can leverage and learn from. And so, like I said earlier, I didn't make many mistakes, but the one I did seems painful. So Matt, as we're wrapping up here, what advice would you give your 18-year-old Matt?
My 18-year-old Matt? Oh, man. Well, I went to grad school. I got 2 master's degrees. I pursued a whole different track. And like, the truth is, if I knew what I know now, I would go straight into real estate and I would be retired by the time I'm 30, right? As opposed to kind of taking the long way around the mountain. So I would encourage anyone and everybody, get into real estate. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be a doctor. You could be a guy picking up trash. It doesn't matter. You can still do real estate on the side. You can learn to invest. You can buy a real asset, which honestly, V, that's what drew me to it initially. Because like I looked at the stock market and I have no idea, even to this day, like I have no idea how to really predict and like know how to make money. Like I've read some books. I kind of have a general idea. But like you could wake up tomorrow and the CEO of any random company could go crazy and the stocks plummet and you have no say in it. You didn't do anything to influence it and you can't stop the downward spiral. But in real estate, it's a real asset. It's something that you can go and touch. Like I can go touch the side of that house. And so I would just tell people, buy rentals, short-term or long-term, get into real estate, learn how to wholesale, go get your real estate license, learn how to do investing and listings at the same time. Like there's so many ways to go earn money. And that's why I'm coaching is I want to show people how to do it. I want to find good people that are kind of looking for that next step. And I just want to coach them. I want to show them the journey that I took, help them short circuit some of the painful lessons. But I think it's all about real estate. I always tell people, V, it's like the last great frontier that the government hasn't gotten involved with and messed it up. Like anybody can do it.
Unless you're in California.
Unless you're in California, which, yeah, the government got involved and messed that up. Yeah. But anywhere else, it just takes a little bit of will. You got to be willing to learn. If you got some money, you can invest that in a mastermind or what have you. But yeah, you could go make it in real estate. Anybody can do it. A lot of the fortunes are formed in real estate. So you're in a great space. I'm in a great space. But there's a whole swath of people that need to take the jump. And I want to be there to help them, just like you're doing, V, with this podcast. You're equipping people to be able to make that jump into real estate. So kudos to you. Keep up the good work on that. I just want to do the same thing, mainly through coaching, because real estate is a game changer. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely agree. Yeah. It may not be the vehicle for everybody, but it's apparently, what you chose, what I chose, and I'm still in it and you still in it. And, sometimes I thought maybe there's something else to do, but then I always come back to real estate.
Yeah. So, well, even if you had a friend who was, just say he or she was a doctor, so they're not even in the same space, you're not going to tell them to like quit their job that they spent, 12 years of medical school studying for. But if they're like, hey, I've got money and I'm not sure what to do with it, like you would tell them to invest in real estate and you want to show them how to do it, because they could invest in real estate, they could get the income from that investment. They can then depreciate it on their taxes. They're getting the equity, they're getting their appraisals stuff, but then they leverage that for additional, resources. And that's the dirty little secret that the government doesn't want you to know, is that debt is actually a good thing, but you got to have something to get debt from. And really the main vehicle is real estate. So you buy a piece of real estate, let's say it's worth $1, but you're not buying it at market value. You're buying it at, 50 cents on the dollar. That's how I teach people how to do it. So you're buying it under market value, but then they can go take out debt. Let's say they take out 20 cents out of that. So, cause they can go to a bank and they can get debt on it. Well, that 20 cents is not taxable. It's debt-free money. So then they take that 20 cents and they reinvest it, and they keep reinvesting it, and you snowball it. You keep buying bigger assets and you keep going after it. So I would encourage anybody to buy real estate. You should own real estate. It's a real asset that you can own.
Absolutely. Totally agree. It doesn't happen overnight like stock, right? I mean, if you bought some stock right before the elections and then the next day, I mean, if you bought the right stock and your stock went up and you look at your portfolio and you go celebrate, it's not like that in real estate. But, when we build up a good portfolio, it's very rewarding. And You're right. I mean, I agree with everything you said. Again, proving why we're still in real estate.
Yes.
All right, Matt. So I'm sure the audience learned a lot today. And if they want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Yeah, well, you can send me an email. My name is Matt Paxson. So it's M-A-T-T. My last name is P-A-X-S-O-N. So just Matt Paxson at Gmail. I am on Facebook. I'm creating other accounts right now, like more marketing accounts. So those will come up here soon. My Facebook is, I think it's Matthew. That's the only person that calls me Matthew is my mom. And that's when she's yelling at me. But some reason that Matt Paxson was already taken on Facebook. So I'm Matthew Paxson on Facebook. So you can go to Facebook. It's a public forward-facing account. Send me a message on Facebook or just email me at mattpaxson@gmail.com. But I would love to help somebody. I'd love to help your audience kind of take those next steps. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from people.
That's all for today, REBallers. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to our channels for more real estate investing strategies, and drop your questions in the comment below. I love to hear from you. Also, check out our other videos for more real estate investing tips. Until next time, keep building wealth and catch you in the next video.